howdy y'all, Dr. Groovy, Scott Grove, GroovyMusicLessons.com here with Season 2, Episode 3 of Ask Scott Grove Anything. No, it actually is fun, and I honestly thank you people who actually watch all 25 hours of this, watched it all last year. That is cool. Hope you watch all these too. You know, some of it might be the exact same answers as some of the questions last year, but so be it. The other part 2 is actually uploading right now. So I just converted it and it's uploading, and I'm just not ready for bed yet, and I'm still, yes, in my same robe and my same do-rag as I was a minute ago, but what day I will actually upload this, I don't know. It won't be the same day. But just trying to get some work done ahead and just not tired yet. So, we will pick up where we left off. We'll see what's happened since then, which would have been actually like 2 hours ago. Oh, yeah, people just writing to me. One buddy, something about doing some work to possibly make Fender guitars a much better place. We'll see what that turns into. I'll just leave it at that because I know nothing about it, and even if I do hear anything more about it, I will not divulge it until it becomes on the market. And then of course other people asking me, you know, Scott, how can I get people, you know, that I know too, from bullying me for years and years here on YouTube. Man, you can't. You either kill him or have somebody else kill him, or change your name to Oprah or whatever and forget about him. Quit answering him back. Or, you know, you just gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. You know, where I live, it's a really big desert. Things aren't really too tough to cover up. So, anyway, yeah. Some people just have no life at all. Okay, where I told you before, my buddy who phonetically put his name down here so I would get it right this time, Derek, and I'm going to do it right here phonetically, Hegwood, H-E, so like egg, Hegwood, okay. It's on 2 different pages here. Okay, I know the last few are here, so I'll keep it here. It's a kind of a long one, so here we go. It says, I know you don't like tempered frets. I don't think I've ever actually said anything about them, let alone not liking them, to tell you the truth. Again, here's where people misquote me on all kinds of things. Would they work for me? No, they wouldn't work for me, but it doesn't mean that I don't like them. You know, it's just 2 very different things. And again, that's just where people get mixed up on if I like them or if they will work for me. There's so many things that will not work for me, even though I like the invention. You know, it's a good invention for 90% of the people. A lot of these automatic tuning things, these mini tunes, and the one for the Fender are good for very few people because they are seriously flawed in one major way, but people will continue to be sucked in. There's the other one that tunes down at the bridge. It wouldn't work for me either. Because, why not me? Real quick before I even proceed with his question, and same with the tempered frets. Why they won't work for me? Dudes, I'm a different style player than pretty much every single one of you out there. And again, when I play, it is... I can almost count on any song that's actually country that would have a pedal steel on it. I'm going to do the pedal steel parts because I do play pedal steel, and I have for many, many years, 30 years, and I just simply don't bring the big thing on stage. There's just no room for them anymore. And I have to have everything. If you, on any guitar, whether you have a floating trem or not, of course if you have a floating trem and you hit your low E string, then you make a 3 note chord and then bend one of your strings. So low E, as soon as you bend that G string up, that low E string is going to go out of tune flat, as will the high E and the B that you're doing, but the low E string will be the most out of tune flat. So it just sounds hideous. So if you have these automatic tune things, or if you have tempered frets, then when you go to bend them, the frets are going to be in your way to bend them, and where your body is so used to bending them to is going to be different on every single fret because of the tempered frets. Tempered frets are the ones that are squiggly, look like somebody threw down some pasta on there in order to make your intonation perfect up and down the entire fretboard. You know, because for your guitar to play correct, you know, straight frets are not the answer. They're the ones that are actually tempered, or they're actually curved in order to make each note be perfectly in tune. So, am I against them? No, I mean, it's perfectly viable for a rhythm player. Lead player, I think you get screwed out of it, and then especially somebody who's trying to do pedal steel stuff in 9 out of 10 songs they play, and that's me personally that has to play like that. They're like, do you have to play like that? It's like, no, but it sure does change things up to a more professional level when you play a verse and you have guitar licks going on. Then for half the verse, then the next verse you play, and you know, the girl plays a little keyboard riffs, you know, this is just comping over top of the thing. Then it's time for a solo, so then I take a pedal steel solo, and she takes a violin solo, then it comes back in, and it's time for whatever else, and then I'll do something that sounds like a different instrument. So I'm covering as much ground as possible, but tempered frets would not work for me because of the pedal steel stuff. It would just get in the way, because sometimes I have to bend 3 or 4 notes all at the same time, so they all have to be out of the way and straight frets in order for it to work and stay in tune. So that's why I cannot use a floating bridge of any kind. Everything has to be nailed down, and that's it. Even when you're doing that, some thin necks, I mean, that's a lot of pressure. When I'm bending free strings, full steps, all 3 of them, the other strings and those still go flat sometimes, because you are actually bending the neck by putting so much pressure on the strings. So to make everything bend in tune, by the time you actually get there, if you do hit an open string, it will be flat, because you have just added so many pounds of pressure to the neck that it's actually going like this. Even though there's no whammy anywhere on there. You know, on a Les Paul it would do that. You know, it's just what they do. Okay, let's find out Derek's actual question. Also, he's asking about the Nirvana compensated nut system. It helps with open chords, your cowboy chords, and that's the only place it helps. You know, it's just with straight open chords. So if anybody out there doesn't know about it, it's like the buzz fighting thing with Washburn and the other things. It's just a way to compensate for those open cowboy chords that always sound out of tune, because the design of a guitar has always been flawed majorly. But whenever you try to tune the one cowboy chord, just like an open E in tune, make it sound great, every other chord sounds way out of tune. Stuff like the Nirvana and stuff fix that. So it would be good for guitars that don't, and for people who aren't a huge roller nut freak like me and demand that your guitars have roller nuts on them. So therefore I cannot use one, since it's not a roller system. So I wouldn't have one put on, I would have a roller nut put on. So, but if you're asking, see, I know you don't like tempered frets. So again, it's not that I don't like them, it's just that I can't use them. Everybody else can if they enjoy them. You know, if it doesn't get in the way for them, but they do. I have played them they do get in my way for what I do, so therefore it's not a consideration. And the Nirvana thing, again, any compensated nut thing is great for almost everybody, except for me again, just because of what I play. And you know, I am a steel guitar player. I play steel guitar stuff on my guitar, and therefore things must be one certain way or no way at all. If we were to hire a pedal steel player, then I could change some things up, and would be happy to do so, to have the more in-tune sounding things. Okay, and then Derek says, also a non-musical question, finally. It's a God one, looks like. Have you not believed in God because He hasn't healed you yet? No, it ain't about that. I can tell from experience that He always answers prayers. None of mine have ever been answered that I can honestly tell you about. And again, of course, I don't believe in God, but we'll just continue through, and I'll keep answering them as I go, because that's what I do. Maybe not immediately, or I know He works in mysterious ways. I'm not trying to put you down, Derek. Really, I'm not. I'm just extremely sure that He don't exist. You know, just like you're extremely sure that He does. So neither one of us is going to know until we're dead, and even at that point, I don't think either one of us have an actual chance of knowing if we were right or wrong, because I think most of us just want there to be something else. You know, which is what do you call it? Oh, sorry, there goes my brain again, sorry. Which is greedy of us, I guess. We don't want to end or cease to be, so we make up things that were originally there to explain why it rained, why it thundered, why the earth quaked, why weird things happened, what lights were up where, why, you know, we had to do that. And then of course for self-control, so everybody didn't kill everybody. So we invented a God to keep people at bay, and we invented God to explain everything that people that didn't know anything any better could throw it all on Him and say, well, it's His way of telling us that we need to straighten up. That's why it thunders. So, you know, and then science comes along, and all of a sudden God almost disappears. Okay, let's see. Maybe not immediately or in the way that we think He should, but He always does. Because I don't want to take up all your time. I don't care. You take up all the time you want, though. I'm here for you, every one of you, for as long as I need to be. I don't want to take up all your time on this post. I'd like to extend you an invitation. I'm going to email you my contact info. I may have it. I'll have to look. It depends on which email you send it to. I've got 5 or 6. I'm going to email you my contact info if I may. Yeah. But, you know, I'm just not a person who will talk about the God thing, because I just know better as far as I'm concerned. It's my opinion. Please consider giving God a second chance. Second chances are His specialty. Yeah, like I said before, He's been welcomed in my entire life, but He's in everybody's heart and that is in my life, except for mine. Hasn't showed one single bit of anything to make me even say, oh, thank God. Nothing, just less than 0. You know, I'm sorry to laugh, but I mean, some things are just, wow. It's like, it's not that I ain't been open to it. Again, I've been surrounded by it extremely by every wife who has always bailed, and for the reason that I was just too nice of a guy, and they were always after different things. First one was after major money. Little did you know what I would end up with later, but hey. And they all left on my birthday after exactly 7 years with me. Every time. So my birthday's coming up next month, so we'll see how I end up. No troubles yet, but I didn't even know with the first 2 wives that they were going to do anything, and both of them, women are evil. First one, my actual divorce was final on my birthday, and she never once said there was even any problem in our relationship, which there wasn't. She just had another guy that she was a physical therapist, and he was a quadriplegic, and she didn't have to screw him, so she got to take all his money and get a horse farm that she always wanted. So she got that. Last one ran off with a band that was playing at one of the... First she ran off with a blackjack dealer, and then she ran off with she was a cocktail waitress at one of the casinos here. Ran off with the blackjack dealer first, and then took off with one of the doo-wop black groups playing over at one of the other casinos, and then she calls me up. He keeps beating me and makes me only smoke menthols, but tells me when I'm allowed to smoke and when I won't. Can I come back? It's like, nope, I found Rosie. So, God, women suck. And they cheat. Statistically true. Like 10 times more often than guys do. Guys think about it more, but women just do. You evil, evil bitches. Okay, rest of your question. It says, I love your videos, man. I learned how to play from your videos and hope that I can continue your legacy. And that's exactly what it is. Part of it is the legacy thing. The rest of it is that I vowed to strictly give people the lessons that I never got, that I was always frustrated with because they just suck so bad. It's like, here's my gear, here's my gear, here's my gear, here's more of my gear, and here's me shredding a little bit, and bye. Nobody ever taught anything on those old Starlicks tapes, that Arlen Roth shit. He'd bring people in, and they were all that way. Waste of a ton of money forever, ever, ever. All them videos suck ass. Yeah, you got better people giving lessons here on YouTube than you do on anything you can buy, especially from the Starlakes and the other 80s crap that was out. None of them ever taught you a thing. They'd get the stars in, they'd bring in Paul Gilbert or whoever. I remember getting that one. You never learned a damn thing. He's like, well, here's how I hold my pick. It's like, I don't give a fuck. Show me something. Never, 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 never. Not once. Okay. Again, that's why I started teaching the lessons. It's like, God, that is just a ripoff. For the rest of Derek's thing, I'll get there. I can't tell you how many times this is said to me, and nobody out there ever has to worry about this. And this has been said probably thousands of times. Says, you're a huge inspiration to me, Scott, and your videos mean a lot to me. No homo. So, a lot of people always say no homo. Man, I get the love thing, and I have that same love for a lot of people, and a lot of guys, and just human beings. You know, the love thing is a given. You know, if you're a great person, I'm definitely a great person. I'm out there, but I'm me, and who's to say that I'm not perfect and all the rest of you are out there? Maybe I'm the way everybody's supposed to be. Huh? Just because more people are like y'all doesn't mean maybe they fucked up on y'all, this God guy, and I got through somehow and was actually the way everything was intended to be. Give that one a thought. Let's see. But yeah, the no homo thing, I get it from everybody, and it's a laugh, but just to know that I do get that an awful lot. A lot of people say that for some reason. But yeah, the man love, or whatever, I'm all for it. Love a lot of you guys out there. You know, and would be just as sad if I saw what you thought was a real thing where it says Scott Grove dead, you know, whatever, you know, and I'd freak out too, but, you know, I get it. But in my world, my little world here, so many people jump ship over that stupid video, which was a great fucking video. And again, I didn't make it, but it was great. So for me to play along and point it out and not answer anybody for a couple days, I thought it was fabulous. If you don't have a sense of humor, anyway, get the fuck off my channel. Really, I only want certain people here. Again, everybody can unsubscribe. I don't care if I have one subscriber at all. It honestly makes no difference. But friends, those I can use tons of. Subscribers doesn't mean shit to me. If you're subscribed, hey, great. I don't know what that means other than you hit the like button. or whatever. And then again, most people jump ship when they, oh, I didn't sign up on here to hear a bunch of cussing. It's like, well, you're going to, so. But and then they go to the dumb motherfucker video. And it says motherfucker right in the thing. Oh man, I played that when my 7-year-old niece was over here. It's like, and she got so upset. It's like, why would you click on anything that says dumb motherfucker in the title and then get pissed at me for your 7-year-old niece to hear that? Apparently you're surfing for things that say fuck and so forth, and then you get mad at me for whatever. No, this is not Derek doing this. It's people in general just letting off some steam, kiddies. I need to vent sometimes, more than most. I'm glad that I've been a part of your life, dude, and been able to teach you anything, and I don't know that I would like to hear what you're playing and hear any influence of me in your playing, so hook me up with links. Okay, so I'd like to check it out. I've heard some people play, and it scared me, man. It's like listening to me play. Exactly. It's like, wow, that's what it's like to have, you know, to be Jimmy Page and have everybody or doing Stairway all the time and hearing people play your licks. I mean, some people get so fanatical that they, yeah, I mean, some people play exactly the way I do, which is no great consolation to anybody, because I want you to play, just take the licks and make them into your own thing. It's like, yeah, the way I play them are cool, of course, otherwise I wouldn't show them to you. But, yeah, some of them just do it so well, it's just scary. But it's like, please change them before you play them in front of anybody or whatever. Just don't be me. I mean, I've already been. Just don't be me. Let's see, where are we at? For what it's worth, I'm praying to you for you. And that'll always take a prayer. I'm not saying no, just don't, whatever. If God does exist, then I don't believe in the whole hype that you have to go to church, that you have to be saved, that you have to do this. If that kind of a person actually exists, he's not some mean motherfucker, she or whatever it is, isn't some mean motherfucker that you have to pray to or do this or follow this in order to get into their good graces and be allowed into the country club. You know, so I'm in like Flint because I'm just a good dude. So that's the way I think it works. So if you're praying for me, cool. You know, get me into the country club if I don't get in on my own. Okay? That's the way I look at it. So I appreciate the prayers. And it says, hopefully we can talk. At least give me a call sometime. That's one thing that's weird, and I told that to the guy with the little fender thing I mentioned. Ever since the strokes, I do not call anybody. I don't do anything. I don't text. I don't touch a telephone ever, unless I'm calling my wife. So I don't do phones ever. I'm afraid of them. I'm seriously to death afraid of telephones. I don't know why. It's just something that has been since the strokes. It just leaves. It's kind of like postpartum for women. Same thing with that is I'm afraid to leave the house. I have a hard time crossing my threshold of any door that actually leads to the outside. That one's a tough one. So to go play a gig, you know, I'm not anything where I have to, you know, like step backward and forward 18 times or count. I do count my steps over to the mailbox, that kind of thing. But yeah, the telephone's the hardest one. I'll only pick it up if it's my wife. I'll only dial it if it's my wife. Nobody else will I talk to. So that's strange, but everything else is done on the computer, and that's the only way I do it. I don't do any social networking. I don't do Skyping. I don't do Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or anything. I don't have an account with any of them. I don't. I have no interest, and I'm afraid of it all. So it says I'll email you my number, and we can talk shop or just about life. No pressure at all. And the rest was on another page. It was very short. That was the end of the sentence, actually. But it says, man, hope to talk to you soon, buddy. With love and respect. And then Derek, and then he pronounces his name for me. So, That's all. So I can write all the time, you know, but I just don't do the phone thing, man. And I wish, you know, my number's everywhere, all over the internet, but people have to call and leave a message, and then I, you know, have to force myself to call to get gigs and stuff, and then sometimes I let gigs go by that I could have done because I'm afraid to touch the phone. It's not being crazy, it's just being a victim of a stroke. That's all it is. Used to love the phone, but no more. I just can't do it. Anyway, thanks, Derek. I appreciate everything, and I'm glad that you actually got some use out of the lessons. So many people just fail themselves and, you know, quit after that first week or two. You know, 95% people do. I'm glad you didn't. Okay, going right above to Jared. I'm not going to get your last name right, of course. Knisley. Nisley. So if your name's Jared, okay. It looks like it's just a response. It says, I personally love the P bass and Telly bass. Of course, they are still two of the most copied and prevalent instruments I know, and I love them, and why I think they are still, why they still are loved all over. I would love to hear your take on these two wonderful instruments. Thanks, and your channel is awesome. Okay, so he does have a question in here. So he's asking about the Telly bass and the P bass. And I'm sorry I'm going to shatter your world. Again, this is just where everybody is different. I don't like either one. They have made variations of the P bass that I love. I love the jazz bass. Now that one I love. Amazing bass there. The P bass just sounds like mud to me, as does the Telly bass. Just the single pickup. Of course, there's a few versions of both. But, you know, they're a mud bass. Not as bad as the Gibson EBO was. You know, that was really bad. But, man, I love the twang too much. I love the slap. I love the clarity. I like a bass tone that is very even, and I can't get it out of a P bass or out of a Telly. You know, I could if I mean EQ'd the holy crap out of it, but trying to get a tone out of an instrument that wasn't meant to even get that tone, and to force it to do that, it's pretty sad. So, and that you like them is very cool, of course. You know, that's what you dig is what you dig, period. I'm all about, and this one I like, this kind of setup. Okay, so either the jazz setup or what Fender has done with the PV2, what Fender has done with the P-Bass too, as well, is done the P-Bass pickups here, but then throw the jazz pickup. So any P-Bass I would have to throw a jazz pickup. You've seen them in the P-Bass Lite, LYTE. They do this, and the P-Bass Specials, and all the other different ones. So, you know, I love the hum canceling. Of course, these are EMGs anyway, so no noise. But man, I have to have a pickup back here. I play back here, and strings have to always be brand spanking new sounding. That's why there are polyweb strings on all my basses still, and why I have a couple cases of polywebs. Somebody was talking about maybe they need to hoard them up because they think polywebs are going out. Of course polywebs are going out. There's none left on bass. There's only 2 gauges left for electric guitar, a couple for little more for acoustic guitar, but yeah, they'll be gone before long. So I hoarded up my polywebs on my bass and on my electrics, so I've got them for life. This bass actually has a roller bridge underneath here. Rollers, rollers, rollers. Beautiful, beautiful flipping bass. Black brass nut. Okay, this is the Gene Simmons one. This is not the cork stuff. This one here is actually a neck through though. I'd rather have a bolt on, but And actually the Cort ones aren't far off. It plays and sounds every bit as good as these. But this is the real deal. So that's my thing, man. I just have to have a pickup back there, and that one is active because of the EMG pickups. But as far as me, I love, as far as Fender goes, like I said, the jazz bass. And then if it isn't going to be that and it's going to be something way out there, then I can't do just one, you know, the pickup in the middle and or towards the neck, because it's just going to be muddy, 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 muddy. And what's the use of having brand new strings if you have a muddy tone? Really no use in it, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion. And I'm going to keep stating that, as I always do. Otherwise, like my Curbo here. Now everything on this bass is perfect. Bolt on. I know people have never seen this before. No, that is not wood, the neck. It's called rockwood. It's not rock, it's not man, it's a man-made material, put it that way. Looks just like wood. No stupid fret markers. I love that. There's 33 frets on here, and there's the one and only pickup. Okay, there's your Bartolini pickup and major active electronics, not just active pickup. So yeah, I've got a couple, my 9-volt right there. Okay, and 33 frets on that one pickup there can sound like anything I want it to, of course, from the active electronics and phase splits and everything else. So that's what I'm into. So I love this bass. And I know you've seen my other ones, but you're asking about your P bass and your tellies, and again, it's just not that there's not much flexibility in them, because I love the one bass there with just the one thing, or on any other bass, I basically just stick to one sound, and that's what I'm going to play all night long, is that one sound. And of course, by the way you play, generates all your different sounds, so it's just all you. What you dampen, what you pop, what you slap, what you don't, where you play, you know that. Other than that, my all-time favorite ever in the world, right there, the old Gibson G3 grabber. They did a tribute model, screwed it all up. This one here, of course, has the bolt-on neck, which of course I love, which of course has more sustain than anything else. Already proved it, and it's always been proved anyway. And the pickups down here, the last one stops where about a P bass is. Gibson did a tribute to it here recently. It went to shit because they changed everything about it. Why? Because they're fucking morons. They did a set neck, Gibson did, when they, at least they said it was a tribute and not a reissue. So it definitely was not a reissue, because then they put one, the pickup right here, and then one right about here, and then one back here. They changed everything that made the Grabber 3 great. So that sucks. So I love the look of a telly bass, especially when it's just the typical, where's my telly back here? But yeah, I hate the looks of the butterscotch tellies that everybody likes, the 52 thing. But the tellies that actually had the more yellow, not butterscotch, but more like this, the telly bass, that had that look, that particular version. Loved just the look of them, are amazing. I would love to have one that's actually just simply updated and has jazz pickups in it. So. So that one there is made by actually Mr. Cruz over at the Fender Custom Shop, but before the Custom Shop existed. So once again, the first Telecaster with block inlays. I sold it and bought it back. I'm so glad I got that back. It's just when I sold the whole collection, then somebody asked me if I had the old video to that telly, so they could sell it. It's like, sell it back? And they did. So such a great axe. So love your basses, man, for all they're worth. If that's your thing and that's where you get it, and it's what makes you cream, be proud, and don't let anything I'm saying discourage you from it, because I'm not saying anything discouraging. I'm just saying, well, here's what I like. But I'm telling you why I'm not into yours, and that's strictly because I also like the thinner neck at the top on a jazz bass than I do the consistent baseball bat thing going on with the P bass and the early tellies and stuff. So it's just a matter of where the pickup is placed that really kills it for me. If there was one more pickup back in the back, I'd play one any day of the week. So thanks, Jared. Here's CJ again answering a question for me. So I'll do the question, which is from Brian York, and I'll read CJ's answer, and then I'll read my answer. Brian asks, or says, Dr. Groovy, and again, no, I did not make up the name Dr. Groovy. One of my buddies here did. Said, you ought to start calling yourself the doctor. And so I did, just because he said so. I just brought it up on the next gig, or on the next video, said Dr. Groovy, and everybody, some people have sent me some great smocks, Dr. smocks and other doctor things, and Dr. Groovy on them, and great stuff, man. I'm a blessed boy. You know, I just have a great bunch of folks. You know, a few bad apples out there that just suck the life out of people, but I guess with all the good comes a couple morons that you just would really like to cease to have exist at all, with every single ounce of being in your entire body. And they would wish so much that it was okay just to go blow somebody's head off. But that's just wishful thinking. Anyway, Brian York says, Dr. Groovy, thank you from the bottom of this old 49, my age, dumb motherfucker's heart for motivating me to get back to playing guitar again. I love all you guys who get back into it. 2 questions, and that's what you're allowed. Little boy, get on my knee and I'll spank you. No homo. Remember, because he said homo. No homo here. Okay, so get back into playing. 2 questions. What? And again, CJ answers it, so I'll read CJ's answer first, and then I'll go to mine. What are a couple of your favorite comedy? Oh, thank you for asking something not related to music. What are a couple of your favorite movies, and can I take a regular 5-pin conductor MIDI cable? Can it be used for like the J8 pedal for the Johnson amps, not the Millenniums, but for all the other, well, for the Marquee series they work, and for the Johnson J stations they work on those too. Let's see, can I use a regular MIDI cable to the J8 amp connection? Take care, my man, thanks. CJ says, Brian, the cable would work if the pinouts are identical on each other, on each end, and it should work okay. And there's nothing else in the cable, i.e. any other electronics. And CJ is correct. The J8. Here's one of many. Right here, and that's all I ever buy are straight MIDI cables. So, when you do buy them, I don't know if you're playing out or not, so even for home use or anything else, make them in like a fluorescent color. I know, even if everything's black, I hate, everything I have is black, even my, all my extension cords are black. You don't want to see orange extension cords at gigs, it just looks horrible, especially in the lighting rigs up above. Just black, 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 and it hides itself. But with these, here's the J8 pedal, and here's the connection he's talking about, right there. So, plug it right on in. MIDI cable is fine, even though right here it says, this is not a MIDI connection. Connecting a MIDI device, like a synthesizer, to this jack may cause, damage to the device. So this, if you plug it into a keyboard, could cause damage to the keyboard. It won't cause damage to this. This is powered by the Johnson amp, so it sends power through the MIDI cable, and then it just controls all the functions, all the effects, all the patches, where everything, the tuner, everything. So these do nothing by themselves. They are simply a controller, just like the Bradshaw stuff, or the controller for the Axe effects, you know, and so forth. They do nothing by themselves, so it's just for that. So yeah, the MIDI cable's fine. Again, these are on the front of these, so they are facing the audience. Okay? And every audience member that comes up and wants to request a song from you is going to step on that. They're going to break it, and you are fucked for the rest of the night on stage, because you can't change anything on that amp, because it's a pain to get to, and you can't call up any presets. You can't do anything, and so get something very, very, very noticeable in color. So I use like neon yellow and all that just so they can see it, and otherwise I just stick my foot out and, you know, kind of get them in the gut to keep them from stepping on that thing, because it's happened to me probably a dozen times, and it will short the cable out, but I've never shorted out any of the controllers or the amps. I've never had any problems with either one when the cable shorts out. Okay, so, but many cables have. But get a big bright one. And your other question, I'm sorry, was... Oh, the good question, okay, about my movies, the comedies. Again, Brian York. This is where everybody hates me. Whatever. He's asking for honesty, and that's what I always give. I honestly need my tea, so I am not shutting this off. You guys get to sit here, and you get to listen to humidifiers going. Okay, now I'm back. Yes, I actually left my tea somewhere. That does not rock well with me. There it is. Okay, so comedies. I am into the weirdest things. I love stand-up, of course, so I'm not going to put that out there. I've mentioned all the people I like, but as far as movies, which is what you're talking about, God, and I don't even know the name of the one I saw recently that was so funny. It's about a guy who went forward in time, a couple guys actually. I have to find out the name of this one. I would know it if I heard it, so one of you guys will tell me, I'm sure, and I'll say, yeah, that's it. But he went forward in time and landed on a planet where everybody was retarded, basically. So he was definitely, you know, like made the king of the planet, because he was the smartest guy there, because everybody was just dumb beyond fucking belief. So I love the really stupid movies. Love all the airplane movies, you know, everything that had, oh, what's his dead stuff? Leslie Nielsen. All that stuff was great. I was not a Monty Python fan, but I was a Benny Hill fan. Movies. I like the basically typical standards, and then the stuff that people are going to laugh at me for liking because only their girlfriends like it. My favorites are always the same, and they're always going to be the same. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's just always going to be my favorite. Number one. Always. Forever. It just is. So there it is. There's number one forever. And honestly, number two is The Breakfast Club. Yep. Number two, Breakfast Club. Number three, Grease. Yep, Grease. Later on down the line, you'll get to Spinal Tap and so forth, but those are my three favorite movies by name in order. So there you go. Those are the ones I'm into. Every time and then number four is Valley Girl. Don't know why. It's just that's me. You want to know what they are and what, and then I'll tell you what order. Just great stuff, man. Love it. Again, chick flicks, all of them, but hey, you know, there's nothing like Phoebe Cates coming out of that pool, man. It's just, holy shit, I was in love with that girl. She married old Kevin Kline. What a dumbass. Shaved her hair off and Drop Dead Fred. And Drop Dead Fred, that Fred guy, he just passed away like last month. Just in case you want to know. I don't think he did much other stuff unless he did it over there where he's from. But yeah, Phoebe. And then she was in Gremlins, all that. I was never a big Gremlins fan, but Phoebe, Phoebe, Phoebe. So those were my comedies, man. Just my 80s comedies. Love them. And nowadays, some stuff's funny, some's not, but it's the Amy Schumer, inside Amy Schumer thing. She's on the borderline of being funny sometimes, but then she's in and out of it. She's trying to be Sarah Silverman, and she's not. And Sarah's trying to be amazing, but she's okay. So, I'm looking for a extremely funny female comic out there. If you could put those two together, Schumer and her, and then mix in nobody else. Nobody else is funny female-wise. Okay, so that's that. I'm just looking at time, kids. Okay, and I have nothing but time tonight. I changed some strings. I'm gonna change some more. Why? I just feel like changing strings tonight. So some just need the instruments that I've just got in. You know, so the 5-string bass is getting a set of the 5-string polywebs. And yeah, they made them. They don't, of course, anymore, but okay. This guy here, who has one of my favorite comedy TV series, In Living Color. Great shit right there, boy. that was phenomenal. In Living Color. He's there he is. I've always loved this guy's, what do you call them? Begins with an A, I think. Avatar, that's it. Not the movie. Cool movie though. You know, some of those alien chicks were doable. I know I'm not the only one who would do an alien chick. If aliens do exist, and I hope they do, I would be the first one on the bus and ready to fly. And yes, I would do an alien if they look like that. And yes, I do believe in aliens way more than I do in there being a chance of a god. I have a very hard time thinking that we're the only pieces of shit out here with any intelligence. It has to get better than this, trust me. It just has to. If this is all there is for the entire everything that exists, man, that's sad. That's really sad. Okay, so Big D Slap. Scott, you covered a video, have you covered a video on the fractal, now that I'm just talking about it, Axe Effects? What is your thought on it? That's question number 1. I have not done it. I did go down and check them out, and I like my Johnsons better. Everybody who hates me, I see this all the time, think that the Johnson amps make every single one of my guitars sound the same. They think it's the amplifier that makes all my guitars sound identical. No, all my guitars sound very different from each other, except for the ones that sound exactly the same. That would be this Strat and that Strat and the other Strat and the other ones who have put everything exactly the same place where a Strat should be. If you move one pickup a quarter millimeter one way or the other, it will no longer possess that Strat magic. But I just wasn't impressed with the fractal thing. So many people are after that vintage sound, which I have no desire to go for. I want my guitar to sound like the 3 songs I mentioned in the last thing. I want it to sound like that one country thing, and that's it. Good and clean and compressed as shit. No distortion on it unless we have to play a rock tune. Other than that, what matters to me? Reverb, tons of compression, and a volume pedal. It's not even, I could get it out of any amp. It doesn't have to be the Johnson amp. I can get the exact same sound I'm getting out of any amplifier if I have those 3 things. So the Johnson, it just has some things in there that I enjoy but I never use them. On stage I only use, what, 3 patches maybe? 3 or 4? Nothing that a pedal or 2 wouldn't take care of, or any of my little Digitech pedals or anything. So it's not really the amp, but the fractal thing, again, same thing. It's just mimicking sampled vintage bullshit, or it sounds like a synthesizer in a bunch of places, or whatever. So I know a lot of people are using them, and what's so funny is the people that are using them, which are most people on the big stages, are that's all they're using. They're not even using an amplifier to listen to it by. They're just going headphones in ear, and that's the way it is. There's no more amplifiers out there, or they might have an ISO cabinet somewhere, you know. But and everybody's like, well, you know, Santana or so and so, they use this and this tube amp and this tube amp and that and this. It's like, man, these people, they got the fractal. Everybody has the fractals, but I didn't see any reason to have one when these do everything I ask of them and more. And the only reason that I honestly got into the Johnsons way back when is because I was playing in bands that did a lot of different stuff. We were doing, you know, a lot of NXS and the NAC and you know, other country stuff, but then some ego things that involved actual effects that you can't get anywhere else unless you're just a total techie head and you go in there and dial up every single thing. And I didn't want 800 pedals on the ground, so I went down to this, and that's just where I've been. So I'm honestly thinking possibly about going back and just grabbing me a PV Bandit, you know, an old one like from the Solo series, or from the same series, a PV Special 130, and carrying that around instead. You know, these Johnson amps are so heavy. And then I'll just have everything I need, and then just plug a one of the mini Johnson J stations into it and use the J8 controller. No volume pedal, because it actually works on the J8. It doesn't work on the J12. It doesn't, from when you go to patch, the volume pedal doesn't stay where it is. It always reinitializes itself to full volume every patch you take. It goes to full on the Millenniums, but on the J12s, but the J8s, they stay where you have them. And my volume pedal is very crucial to me because I'm such a steel player person in my head. I play as much steel on my guitar as I play guitar on my guitar. So any amp will do me, and I can get that sound. All I want is a clean amp, and those PV amps are as clean as they get, and they'll blow your goddamn head off, and they don't weigh as much as these things. So I don't need all them effects anymore now that we're playing stuff that requires so little versatility. So these were actually bought for a different band. Okay, so now I just don't need all that stuff, but there it is. So I don't need even more with a fractal and even more vintage stuff when that's not the sound I'm going for. So they do a great job of what they're supposed to be for, and for people who like messing with their volume knobs and tone knobs to, you know, make it sound like everything they've sampled, which is all vintage stuff. They're, you know, you're not going to hear a real sounding jazz chorus, you know, JC120 on there, but I know there's a patch in there for it, but it's not as good as the real amp, so why not just use the real thing? So I have nothing horrible to say about them, because they're not horrible. They're great, and they have solved many problems for many people, especially just tubes going bad and the cost of tubes. Holy crap, for good tubes. You change your tubes at least once a year, and that'll cost you as much as most amps, and to get good tubes instead of just shitty ones off eBay, you know, or for 25, 30 bucks they'll sell you 8 tubes that, you know, are meant for your entire amp. No, you gotta get the good tubes. But tube days are way behind me. So fractal is a great thing for most people, and I'm glad it's around though. So yeah, so all the vintage guys are going to them, most all of them. Some of them that are just too old, I know they're not, well, some of them are having to carry their own shit again because they're not signed to a label, so they don't have roadies, so some of them get to carry their shit around. You know, you've got Rick Nielsen, he uses them, good old Pete Anderson used to be with Dwight Yoakam, but one of the most famous tone mongers out there. He uses no more tube amps or nothing. He just uses strictly the original, the nasty line 6 pods, 2 of them, one with a little reverb and one with a little bit of delay for some reason, and those go straight to the PA and then straight in his ears. He does have 2 little cabinets on stage though, for him to use as a monitor, but they're the red versions that look kind of like this, you know, again, the pod by Line 6. That's all he uses, and everybody's like, man, that dude, he's got to be going through a Tweed Deluxe or just a Deluxe, you know, 22 watt, and just, you know, has to be souped up as hell. And I mean, just listen to how great it sounds. And I love it when people do that, because it's just too nasty. The very first Line 6 shit out. That's all he uses. He gets a superb sound. So these do come with a mounting thing. It goes right here, and then it goes in here and here, and it mounts to your mic stand, and it sits right there. You can, like that, but way down here, and you can turn and edit whatever you want and store it and assign pedals to it as you're playing in real time. Have it right there and turn it down, everything. It's just so amazing. You have to do a review on these one day, but I may just go out with one of these, and like I said, the little Bandit or something might be my next thing. I might take this little first act bass amp out there. I don't know. I haven't got rid of it yet, so you never know, man. And then again, I might just go straight in. It sounds great. Okay, so, and the other thing from Big D Slap. I just keep looking at my buddy here with all the crack on his lips. Question number 2 from Big D Slap. There's nothing good on Craigslist here in Vegas. I know, I look at it every day. Where else can I get gear for cheap besides eBay? People are going to tell you Goodwill, because there is the Goodwill site. You'll never get anything. I've never bought one thing off there. People jack it up way higher than they pay for it on eBay. Otherwise, go to another town. It's really that bad. There is a site for Craigslist, but it does the entire country plus other papers, like the recyclers and other stuff, the Nifty Nickel and all these other things. So it will examine every thing that has shit for sale, plus every Craigslist thing in every single town. And if you want to write to me, I'll give you that link. But it's very, very hard to talk them people into sending you anything, even if you're PayPaling them. But I do, and I have got some stuff that way. So that's the best way to try it, is to look at every single thing available in the entire United States on all those papers, and the entire United States on Craigslist, not just Vegas. 90% of the people aren't going to trust you unless because Craigslist says don't trust them. But if you offer to send them postal money orders, anything, because, you know, there's just too many Habibs out there that say they're going to send you something, then send you $10,000, then please send me $8,000 back, and all that bullshit stuff that nobody would fall for other than a total moron, but some people still do it. So if you want that link and you're not familiar with it, then just, you know, email me. Again, just email me at GroovyDJs, same as my screen name, at AOL, on an email. Don't do it through eBay, or don't do it through YouTube. That way I will see it. So that's the place to get those. Let's go up to, somebody answered a question, and I think I know what it's about. Okay, we're going up to Gorgeous Roddy Chrome. Okay, number 1, in one of your Most Wanted, the band that I play with, at a country fair video, I think I heard a few bars of a Dwight Yoakam tune where you threw in some Metallica riff from Enter Sandman. What was that song, or was I hallucinating? Okay, yeah, that's exactly what you heard, and somebody else answered it for you instead of me getting to answer. So I'm not sure what the whole point is of Ask Scott Grove something when you guys won't let me answer it. Big Brother Watching said, Fast as You. Guess what? The song was called Fast as You by Dwight Yoakam, and yeah, I did throw in Enter Sandman, but the band actually does the song Enter Sandman, so whenever it comes to that point in the song, I will either throw in that song, the Enter Sandman thing, or I will throw in Life in the Fast Lane, or I'll do Walk This Way, or I will do Hair of the Dog. Those are generally what I'll throw in there, so I just mix them up each time. If something else hits my brain, you know, I might do 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 do. They say it's your birthday, and I might do that too, since it's close to the Hair of the Dog thing, and just throw something in, or I might throw in the Popeye theme or something. But that's the song. Number 2, he says, have you ever played the PV Forenza guitars? Of course, I've played every PV ever made. That were made in the USA. Yep, from 1998 to 2002. If so, what was your opinion of them? Fabulous. PV is PV. They make some of the best gear in the world. Always have, always will. I don't know why people went with them as hard as they did back in the late 70s and all of the 80s, part of the 90s too. And everybody had them except for the metalheads, but everybody's using them now, you know, because Van Halen came along and a few other people came along and started doing some big boy rectifier style sounding. Well, everything has a rectifier tube wise, but they put out some major Sirius amps after Eddie started working with them, Van Halen and stuff. But Forenza, great guitar. I'm saying you can't beat it, but just figure of speech. Yeah, sure you can beat it, but it's a great guitar. Definitely a better guitar than so many others. If it's your thing, don't wait for me to give you a green light to buy it, but it's a great guitar. I can't say anything bad about it, you know. A lot of things I like to say bad stuff about just because I like to tell the truth, but if there's nothing bad to say, there's nothing bad to say. Would I play it on stage? Of course I would. Above that, Thomas Magnum. Okay, some of you people aren't going to understand this, but here's the explanation. Again, I'm just looking at time. I'm an hour or two into here. I do not listen to music. I am not very learned on different groups and so forth because I just didn't, when I was growing up, other than Kiss and other than what I was playing in my band or whatever artist I was playing for, I didn't give a shit about anything else. That was it. You know, I have to listen to this other stuff to learn what I have to play, and then I play Kiss shit. Was it because they were great? No. Hell of a stage show, though. Still is a hell of a stage show, but it's just, you know, people with walkers now and wigs. There's still no great music coming off the stage. Well, I can't say that. There's actually still some good music coming off there, but everybody's so into their personal life that they think Kiss are a parody of themselves now. So anyway, Thomas asked, this is why I brought this up. I always tell the answers first and say a bunch of shit that nobody knows what's going on. My wife yells at me for that all the time too. It's like, get to the point. That's another thing too. So anybody ever tells me to get to the point, other than my wife, yes, I always block you. So if some of you are wondering, what did I ever do? It's because you said, quit rattling and get to the point, and I block every single person whenever they say that. It's just one of my things. I'll block you for less. But if you don't like my shit, shut the fuck up, go somewhere else. But if you have something nasty to say and nothing productive at all, then I'll just block you so I don't have to deal with me again. Nothing personal because I don't know you personally. But then again, I don't have to put up with it, so I block. It's put on there for a reason. Okay, so he says, Scott, what do you think of the band? So I guess that's the song, or the band called The Band. Okay, I could not tell you one song they did, I couldn't tell you one member of it. Honest to God? Yeah, honest to God, if there is one. Don't know. I couldn't tell you the difference between them or Steppenwolf or Peter, Paul, Mary. I don't know the difference. Couldn't tell you. Okay, so I don't know. I know there's a band called The Band. Because I remember one time, you know, with one band, where I was like, hey, we need a name. And I'm like, how about The Band? They're like, dude, really? And they're like, no, really. It's like, what? No, The Band. That sounds kind of cool. You know, and we all come up with the same stuff. Free beer. That way they put free beer on the sign and everybody shows up. It's like, it's already been done. But I didn't know there was a band called The Band until somebody told me that when I offered it up as a suggestion for a band name. So I honestly, I'm sure I would recognize some songs, but I don't know who did them. I don't know who did most songs, unless they were from the 80s, then I'd probably tell you, or from the 50s and 40s in country. 50s and 40s. Yep, I love that stuff. So that's just me, that's where I'm at, so honest answer. Okay, I've been seeing this guy around a lot lately. Unless he's just changed his name and picture, but he's been around a lot lately, and thanks for hanging out. My Teddy Bear. This says, hey Scott, first off, thanks for doing this again, and secondly, great thoughts on certain individuals and debated topics. I as well hope this settles things in general on a lot of that stuff. So of course that's going to be the tone wood crap and all kinds of, a couple of the other two things, so the things that nobody will let go, and nobody will still let them go. I'm not letting them go, and nobody else is on either side of any of it is ever going to let it go, but I'm done with it as far as I'm concerned, but unless somebody asks me in person, or unless they ask me on, I guess, on YouTube, you know, I'll just, but now I have all the links, I just say, watch this, which is a great thing, because I get tired of repeating myself, so I just throw Duncan's links down there, I throw Will's links there, and then everybody goes to them, you're an idiot. And it's like, you don't say that to either one of them boys, and they'll tear you a new one. It doesn't make them right, or actually they are right, and I'm right. But and every one of them has said, show me or tell me any proof to the contrary. Show me any one little bitty iota, because everybody says it's all over the internet. It's proven, and nobody has produced one shred of evidence other than, how can you say that? What's wrong with your hearing? Go watch the Rob Chappers thing. And that's the worst thing ever made it. That was a moronic video if there ever was one. Okay, so to get to my Teddy Bears stuff, he's got two questions here. Given the USA's current, and I may not know this one because I am so non-political, it's crazy, so I'll read it, and I may not even understand it, just to let you know, okay? Because I personally believe that we should all just gang up and just throw everybody out of power and blow up this rock and let it start over again. And I think all governments are evil. U.S., everybody else, everybody's a crook, everybody's a thief, everybody's a liar. I think you should nuke them all. I do. That's my honest thought. There's not an honest one in politics. Period. Not even in a small town like this. It's just kill them all. But let's read the question. See if I even understand the question, because I may not. Because it's not my thing. Given the USA's current state, and maybe even this plays into your own stuff, with the economy and how the government's system currently is, which I don't know how it is, do you think the capitalistic, which I don't know what it means, society, capitalistic society, I don't know what that means, government that is in place down there desperately needs to be changed to a more socialist, don't know what a socialist is either, never cared, mindset, government like up here in Canada since the 60s. I've always thought Canadians had it way more together than the US, so if you want to ask me, do I think we should do it the way Canada does? Hell yeah. That I can tell you, yeah. I'll take 30%. 15% GST, 15% PST. Yeah, I know your ways. I've played Canada many times, and for so long, and up in Thompson, Manitoba, and up in the UK, and all the way over to Fernie, BC, and all the way to the East Coast, and many times for many years. I love Canada. I just hate it in the winter, of course, but yeah, Canada is basically, check me if I'm wrong, but it's one of those countries that just watches the United States and learns from our mistakes and doesn't do what doesn't work for us, but they do what works for them, except for the whole health care and everything else with the government, because it fucking works up there and it doesn't work down here. So they're watching the mistakes of the US and the rest of the world. They learn from them, and they actually implement things that doesn't cause all that bullshit. So life is much better in Canada. The government apparently is much better than Canada. So whatever socialist, and I've heard these all my life, but I don't know what they are, and I don't care. Socialist and what was the other one you said? Capitalistic. Don't know what the words mean. Couldn't tell you. Don't care. It says, AKA more than 2 parties able to be voted into government rule, socialized healthcare. I don't know what socialized means either. Words that I just don't use and don't know. Haven't heard them for my whole life, and I don't know. And I know how the healthcare works in Canada. I think it's great. And I think you guys got it way more together than the USA again. I think the whole US should revolt and blow up everybody in DC. Will I get flagged for this video for saying that? I don't know. But I think that should happen all over the world where everything sucks like it does in the US. Every politician, kill them. I'm all for the eye for an eye thing. You know, I think that's the way the world should be, period. So if you want to know that, I know you're not asking that, but somebody rapes somebody, cut off their dick. Somebody steals, cut off their hand. I think that's the way the world should be. Somebody shoots somebody, you shoot them. You know, just that's the way it is. That's the way I would run it. So if that helps you out, there you go. I mean, do I have any remorse or anything? Remorse, isn't it? Because I haven't done it yet. Yes, I honestly, that's the way I think the world should be. Just eye for an eye, go back to that shit. If you know you're going to possibly get caught doing something and you know the consequences, that's the way everything should be. And no more overpopulation and people that do suck and are repeat offenders and they let them out 30, 40 times for the same thing over and over again. These people would be dead after the first or second time of doing certain things. After you steal twice and you've been cut off, 2 hands, after you have enough shit cut off, you're not going to be able to steal anymore, or you're going to be dead because they chop more parts off of you. So, I think it should honestly be that way. Just, ta-da! I would love to see it that way, but I think Canada has it way better put together than the US or most other countries for that matter. Again, I don't know what any of the words mean. I'm not going to look them up. Why? Because I don't care. And it's nothing to do with you, of course. You asked a question. Perfectly valid question, but I am not political and don't care. And I avoid it at all costs, except for the IRS. I pay that, and so be it, like a good little kid, and I don't cheat. There you go. Okay, for number 2, and this is a good guy. He's always here. I like this dude. Number 2, not sure if you haven't heard or read about Gibson's business models. I'm going to talk about this one. Do I have enough time? I hope so. This will probably be the last one because there's a few things some of you guys don't know about Gibson and some things that whatever, but let's see what he has to say and see if I got enough time before this. If this just shuts off, I'm sorry, my hard drive just got full. But that's where I will stop it, and it will end with this one. Will be the CDN, looks like Canadian probably, Gamer. Oh fuck. And can't spell. He'll be the first one on the next one. But I'm going to end up with my Terry Bears question here, whatever it is, but it involves Gibson. So, and not sure if you haven't heard, my eyesight's so bad, or read about Gibson's business models and changes for 2015. 29% increase across the board on all guitars prices. Are you serious? Hopefully that'll close them up. I would love to see Gibson close. Not because I don't like Gibson, because there are many models that I love, have loved. Many, many. People think I hate Gibson. I hate Gibson as the people who run the damn thing, and certain other things, and I respect them for other things, but some of the guitars that I have absolutely loved forever were made by Gibson. So that's not a Scott hates Gibson thing, guitars. They make some great ones and some shitty ones for me personally. If you love a Les Paul, great. I've had some amazing Les Pauls. Again, where you people get your information at, I don't know, but you take everything wrong. I've got a Flying V right here that I play live. Single coil pickups in there, so it's me. I'll use it. I've got videos on here of me playing with it live. Great guitar. I wish they would put 3 single coils in there like a Strat. I know I can custom build one. Well, there are some that are not made by Gibson, but they're online for sale. But anyway, let's get through his question, because I want to bring up some shit and I hope it doesn't cut out on me. They're like, if you would get to the point, it wouldn't cut out on you. Okay, so 29% increase in 2015 on all guitars prices, discontinuing some of the models, colors, finishes, discontinuing. Now I don't know if you're saying discontinuing the mini tuners on almost all models now, or they are putting them on all the models now, the way it reads, because it says discontinuing some models, colors, finishes, mini tuners on almost all models now. So I don't know if they're putting them on all models or taking them off all models. They should take them off. I should tell you why. What it does, when the mini tuners, real quick, when they tune down to get right, they don't tune back up. Every string that gets tuned down has to be re-stretched manually a couple times and then tuned up, so that next time you play and bend a note or just play on it, that way it won't go flat. Because any string that you actually detune down to pitch, whenever you fret it and bend it, it will go flat again. Really flat. So all these new fancy tuners, robot things, blah blah blah, when they go flat and they tune down to it, you're doing a drop tuning and it drops the low E down to a D, if you go whoo and do a squealy on there, you're going to be way flat out of tune. These things do not account for that. They need to go flat, and then they have to be manually stretched and then tuned up, or they will go flat on you again. So they are bad designs from square one. I will never own any such piece of shit. Did anybody ask me? No, but there you go. So the ones that are coming out for Fender, same company as the Mini Tune, exactly the same company. So don't get them. Yeah, it looks great, but no. Sorry. Bad, stupid shit. If you fall for it, don't say I didn't tell you. What else are they doing? Says something about brass 0 fret nuts. I don't know what that's going to mean. I have brass nuts on some of my Gibsons that were stock. I hope they're going back to it. I would love 0 frets on there. I don't know if you're saying they're going to those or if they're not going to those, or if they're discontinuing and it's all still from the same sentence. So please stretch this out or show me where you're reading it so I know if they're going to put 0 frets on there, because I love 0 frets. I think they should be on every guitar in the world. They're on my every Kramer. I have every single one, because the only Kramers I will have are the aluminum neck jobs. It's the only ones that were worth a fuck. I know a lot about Kramer, and the Kramer fan club just hates me because of the plain truth that they don't want to listen to, but so be it. But anyway, yeah, 0 frets are mandatory. That would be a great thing if they go to it, but again, I don't understand the way it's worded. I'm sorry. And then it says, do you think it might finally make dumb motherfuckers, he just put DMFers, stop buying Gibson stuff and start them into a death spiral to reality or extinction in itself? Okay, so I would honestly love to see Gibson close down. It's just enough. They're just so in the past, but again, the majority of people are so stuck into this fucking vintage thing that that's what sells. But to do a 29% increase, they're going to lose everybody. So that's good. There's plenty of fucking Gibsons out there for everybody already. So go get them. So if Gibson closes, no big deal. Gibson, I don't know if you guys know this, but there are companies over there. People call them Chibsons. There are companies over there that make these guitars that say Gibson on the headstock. Who do you think pays for that to happen? Now, finally, since they were the last one to chip in. Yes, those folks. Of course, all these people. Gibson, Fender, PRS, Ibanez, there's a couple more. Anyway, they all fund the fake guitars. Gibson was the last one to do so. We have a deal with China, folks. China owns the United States. So, all these fake guitars, your Chibsons and stuff that have the word Gibson on there, and the word Fender, and the word everything else, it's a deal with from one government to the other. And Gibson didn't want to get on that thing, so a little integrity there, huh? So what did the country say? You get no more great Rosewoods, whereas people from the Agile think Rondo Music can have the best Rosewoods they want. But Gibson can't get it? Bullshit. Why? Because they're not playing ball. They weren't paying to have fake guitars made with their names on there like everybody else is doing. And the government seizes a one or two shipments of those per year when they come in, and pretends like they're doing that to stop, forgeries to come into the country. It's a deal with China, kids. Yes, it's one of those 9/11 conspiracy things, but it actually is. Yeah, and that's where Gibson actually had a little integrity. They didn't want to play ball. They didn't want their name on the headstocks of some Chinese-made thing other than Epiphone. And Epiphones have been made everywhere. But just because, again, China owns the United States of America. Pretty soon, the dollar, the almighty dollar, which it's the basis of all the monetary marks of money, denominations of monies from every country are based on the dollar. Pretty soon it will go to everything being based on China's money. At that point, America will no longer be as you see it. It will be very much like, what was that Kurt Russell thing, the movie, another death, looks like a nuclear holocaust, something from New York, Escape from New York. It will be like that in America. Everything will be, just major shit. We're all going to be living in holes and living like the people that we make fun of as soon as everything goes over to the world having all their money based on the Chinese currency. That's where it's going. It's coming extremely fast. If you don't believe in it, fine. If you want to call me crazy, fine. If you want to call bullshit on the little guitar thing. The guitar things are just so minuscule compared to everything else that is tied in with the Chinese thing. That's why nothing is made in America anymore. And Gibson didn't want Gibson to be made somewhere else. And they don't mind the Epiphone thing because they don't give a fuck. Epiphone makes some tons of money, but the other little brands don't. But as far as the Gibson name, they didn't want fake guitars out there to have their name on it, even though they were being made already. But when it comes to Obama and just the higher-ups than Obama, of course there's higher-ups than Obama, China gets their way. Sorry. So every company, again, Ibanez, Fender, Gibson, Paul Reed Smith, and there's a couple more that are the only ones that get faked, but they all have to play ball. Or they don't get no wood, or they get closed down, or they magically disappear, or they're on the bottom of the ocean. So, yes, it is a big conspiracy thing, but again, we are no longer the mighty powerful USA. We are shit. And it's our fault. It's not our fault, but it is for not just going over there and taking over the fucking place and making it right, kicking out every politician. Everybody just likes to sit around and get fat or sit around and bitch they don't have a job. Nobody anymore will do a single thing about overthrowing their government. That's what needs to be done if you want all this stupid bullshit to stop. I know you don't want to be preached about this, but, and I'm sure people will laugh at me about all this, but again, proof is as plentiful as you want it. Don't bug me about this whole situation either, but that's what's going on over there. So Gibson, if they put up any kind of bullshit, they're just simply going to be knocked down, taken out. The name will continue with whoever China wants to make Gibson guitars, and that will be that. So Gibson falls because of their integrity being high, then good for them. But if they fall because they're almighty and they're actually raising stuff 29%, just because they think they're all that, then fuck them. Let them die. The guy that owns it is not a bright person. At least they've seen the way, and almost every guitar switches from humbucker has split coils on them. They don't do the coil taps, as even Gibson puts in the descriptions on their website. We have coil tapping, when it's actually coil splitting. Yes, they do have some guitars, with P90s that have coil taps, but on their humbuckers it's coil splitting. And I'll leave Andertons alone on that one. Too easy. So at least they're realizing they can get Gibson and Fender sounds out of almost every guitar that's out there now. They finally realize that, and some people are pissed off and they will only buy the ones that won't split because they think by putting the split in, introducing it into the circuitry, is going to somehow fuck up the purity of the almighty 59 Les Paul, which nobody in their right mind even paid a fucking clue about until Page played one. Then they realized he was actually playing a Telecaster on the albums and just using the Gibson Live. And then Clapton got one and said, wow, there must be some magic in these if Page is playing one. And then everybody thinks that's the Holy Grail, when Gibson quit making Les Pauls for a number of years, if you remember, let alone the 59, but now they're taking all the 1952s, 53s, 54s, 55, 56, they're fucking them up, tearing them apart, and rehashing them and making them all into 1959s. Yes, and charging you only $40,000 to have that done, because nobody will play the actually amazing P90 equipped early Les Pauls. But Gibson has always been a really fucked up company. I am not saying that they make horrible guitars. I'm saying they have bad fucking ethics. The turnover rate among employees there is amazingly high. It's common knowledge, it's public knowledge. Just read for yourself instead of listening to me ramble. But yes, I have had many, probably close to 200-300 Gibson guitars that I absolutely loved almost every single thing about, other than they had a tilt back headstock, because they made a lot of bull-long guitars with 3 single coil pickups. Yes. So those I loved. Loved. So do I hate Gibson guitars? The guitars, the actual guitars that I'm playing, not all those ones that I loved, no. But do I hate Gibson guitars as a company and their owner? Of course. Okay, again, there you go, politics with Scott a little bit. And no, I don't know what socialist means, or capitalistic, or whatever, but eye for an eye, and welcome to fucking China. See you for part 4 next time. Take care, kiddies.